All right. So Joseph Eckel. Wonderful. Okay. Joseph Eckel. So whenever you are in ProConnect, okay, whenever you are in ProConnect, you are going to see on the left-hand side this tab, right? Technically speaking, it is quite intuitive because the way that taxation works is, of course, thinking about it, the Internal Revenue Service needs to know clients' full pretty much name. They need to know their social security number. It's kind of like their own identification number, okay? They need to know where the taxpayer actually lives. And also we need to have their phone number and their email, okay? Now, usually, there are two outcomes in the tax return. Outcome number one is the person owes money to Internal Revenue Service. Outcome number two, the person gets money back. Okay?
Okay.
So whether they're going to owe or receive money back, they can do it in three ways. First, they can either mail the check if they owe or ask for a mailed check from Internal Revenue Service if they actually get a refund. They can pay via bank, okay, and this is an example where we are selecting that they are going to pay, so electronic payment of balance due via bank account, okay, or they can actually receive refund, okay, with pretty much into their bank account when they're submitting the tax return. And then also there's another third option, but only if they owe, they can actually go to respective websites, either irs.gov, or for California, it's ftb.gov, or for New York, okay? Most of the, I would say, government tax authority sites, they do and.gov. So that's just putting it out there, okay?
Okay.
Now, electronic filing, e-signature, main form. This pretty much just in certain scenarios, certain states require that things would be filled in here. Not every state does, and usually you will see when you're checking return, there's going to be a diagnostic, but we'll get to that, okay? So for the most part, in general information tab, you are going to be looking for client information or inputting client information. The dependents tab is either for parents or for children, or in certain cases, other dependents, okay? We will go over a little bit later what qualifies one to be a dependent, okay?
So,
Oh, go ahead.
all right. No, I'm with you.
Okay. Next step, payments, penalties, and extensions. Very, very, very important tab, okay? Very important tab. So mostly, we are going to be concerned with 2020 estimated payments, okay? So 2020 estimated payments, this is where you will see if it's a client from a prior year, you will see these filled out, voucher amount memo, okay? This lets you know that last year, for example, well, since this is, let's say, 2020 tax return, means that for 2019 tax return, when the person was filing, we suggested that they do estimated tax payments, okay?
Mhm.
Right away, we can see that this is not correct, okay? Not correct. If you say New York on here, well, it's not gonna apply to federal. Well, on here, not that it really matters because it's not gonna, this way, it's not gonna, just because it's a memo, it doesn't mean that it actually happened, okay? The best way to phrase it. So if you see the memo, you would always ask a client, oh, hey, by the way, Joseph, have you made estimated tax payments that we have proposed? Okay, in his scenario, for federal, so this is going to be federal column. It's going to
Okay.
be these amounts. For state column, it's going to be different ones. Now, if you have 2 or more states, where the client has lived, you would ask, and by the way, I see that in, let's say, 2019, you've lived both in California and New York, or in 2020, you lived both in California and New York. For which state or for both have you made estimated tax payments? Please provide dates and amounts, okay? Once you know dates and amounts, what you absolutely must make sure of is that, let's say, if you paid 4630, you don't need to override the date if you paid it timely. If not, you will provide you or she different dates, okay? For federal, you always select US, okay? Because this is federal jurisdiction and it will show up in his Form 1040, okay?
Okay.
By the way, and we can see that it's Form 1040, okay? So this is the form we're going to be talking about today.
Okay.
For the states, there's this magical button. You could say that, for example, 1518, in fact, paid to New York, okay, and source is going to be state. And let's say 500, he actually paid to California, okay, and that's again state. So you're going to have a list here, okay? You're going to have a list, okay? All right. Let me clear this up because we're going to use this as a blank slate for you to work on later on. And I think this was like that. So now we go into income. And before we go into the actual income, one thing that I would like for you to keep in mind, think of a Form 1040, right? The main Form 1040 as, let's say, as a dinner plate, okay? But in order to digest dinner plate or to eat your dinner from that plate, you're going to need utensils, okay? You're going to need a fork, you're going to need a spoon, you're going to need a knife. So everything is almost like beside that 1040, and everything is explanation to any schedule right under it. So first one, wages, salaries, and tips, okay? These are reported on Form W-2. W-2 is...
Can I come? I don't remember how you got to this part.
Oh, okay. Over here, you would click
Okay.
on View Forms, okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And so,
thank you.
Sure. And so the first thing we usually look at is wages, okay? So this is Form W-2. These are going to be wages for the year, okay? For the year, and all of the individual taxpayers, they are calendar year taxpayers, meaning from 1/1 to 12/31 of a given year, okay? On the Form W-2, when you're going to be looking at W-2, you will see that the W-2 contains wages. It has federal withholding. There's going to be FICA withholding, Medicare, state, and local. Local, most of the time, is going to be for New York City and for pretty much, what is it, Philadelphia, but there could be other ones. It really depends where the person, which state the person lives in. It will depend on the locality, okay?
Okay.
But we do have quite a few clients from New York, so there is going to be New York City tax, okay?
Okay.
So whenever you need to look at a snapshot or a breakdown, for example, you have this fella over here, and we can see that he has a whole bunch of 1099 NEC. NEC stands for non-employee compensation, okay?
Okay.
That's one thing, but let's take a look first at a W-2. So we can see that he has W-2 from GPS services. You're going to see wages, okay? And then all of these things that we talked about. So federal, Social Security, Medicare, taxes withheld, additional things. Of course, the state, and this is a good example, person could work in multiple states. So this one specifically says total state. Well, what we need is we need separately stated states, right? So because it's California and New York, we need to know what are state wages for California and what are state wages for New York, okay? Also, it's going to give you here for the locality. So local wages and then local income tax. What is the locality? New York City. Okay. So this is going to be input exactly where it says wages. Okay. So in a way, it is what it is. We just looked at the W-2. So from the W-2, again, if you see a sign like that, right, it means it's a list. So you're going to see that there's going to be state employer ID for each state, okay? So again, if this is blank, you would simply be clicking on the list, you know, to add things, and then boom, you can go ahead and input. It must have employer identification number, which you can usually find right here, okay? Right here, employers, federal ID number.
Okay.
And then the way that wages are input, again, remember how I said it's very important to pay attention which jurisdiction it is telling you that the wages are for. If it is federal, you must put US, okay? So because it's federal jurisdiction, and you don't need to select the source here, okay? But for California and for New York, once you input, you must select that the source is state only. Otherwise, it will add up state wages to the federal wages, and you're going to have total wages of 75, and that is going to be incorrect, okay? Because the amount of federal wages should only be what is shown in W-2, okay? So far, so good?
Yeah. I wanted to ask about the source. You said if it's California and New York, it has to be S. When does it ever become N? The source.
Really never, to be honest with you. Never. So just disregard, okay? Disregard that completely. So it's either you would select S or you would leave it blank for federal information.
Does S have a meaning?
What was that? Hello?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you. Now, I can hear you.
Okay, are we good so far?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I couldn't hear you there for a second. Sorry about that. All right. And so you will also notice the trend, right? Everywhere here, this is the federal information. So you're going to see US, 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 US. Okay.
Mhm.
This is also a portion of the federal information. Again, if you look at Form W2, Box 12, it's honestly quite literally just follow the box number, right? And then select the code. The codes in Box 12 are always given. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, when we go down to the state, okay, here it only has, it's only showing income tax withheld for California, and let's say New York City income tax. I do believe, if you look at the W-2, let's look at it. If you look at the W-2, we do see that New York state wages are exactly the same, right, as the federal, but none of the New York state tax was actually withheld, okay? Only New York City, otherwise it would have state income tax for New York. However, in this W-2 for California, where it says California, there is a withholding, okay, state income tax. So in this instance, we have ourselves California taxes withheld and New York City income tax withheld, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Now, of course, there will be forms 1099 interest or 1099 OID. Rarely you'll probably see OID, but 1099 interest, INT is a very simple form, comes from the bank. It's whenever people, have certain amount of money on the bank account and they simply, receive interest over the year. So again, name of the payers, usually bank name like Chase or Fidelity or whatnot. And then this is interest specifically from the banks, okay?
Mhm.
This is the most common scenario you'll see. Dividend income, again, follow the form, okay? And what I do suggest the first few times, click on the detail. So details, okay? You're gonna put the name of the payer, payer's identification number. This is usually a bank or a brokerage account. And then you will simply follow, 1A total ordinary dividends, 1B qualified dividends. It's quite literally the way form is going to look, okay?
Mhm.
Now, pensions. Pensions, again, every single 1099-R. And what's convenient, it does have form name, okay? So you don't need to be scrambling. It will tell you what is it and the form name. So the form name is 1099-R. You will see this guy has Fidelity Investments. This was a direct rollover, and this is going to be in the box 7, okay? This is where it's going to be shown. You'll see the code. And what was the gross distribution, okay? Again, if in doubt, just click details, okay? And then you will see numbers, okay? Corresponding numbers that are on the form. Each box on each form has a number. So when in doubt, simply click on details and it'll take you, to where you can match what's actually on the form. So on the form, let's say box 1, gross distribution is this, and then what's taxable. And the form may say total distribution, obviously not always the case, but what else? This will not matter because it will depend on what you do next and what you can do next. We will get to that, but not today. Distribution code, again, you would match it to the form, okay?
Okay.
Different refunds, but let's get to the juicy part. So business income, okay? Business income, this is Schedule C, okay? Very important to know. Form 1040, remember how I said it's like a dinner plate. Before you can actually use the information within the dinner plate, you need utensils. So schedules are like utensils. You're going to have Schedule A, that is itemized deductions. You're going to have Schedule B, that is interest and dividends. Okay. You're going to have Schedule D, that is capital gains, various types of capital gains. You're going to have Schedule C, which is business income. You're going to have Schedule E. Schedule E has 2 pages, and it's not literal pages. It's the names almost of the form, okay? Schedule E, page 1 is rent and royalty. Schedule E, page 2 is income from pass-through entities. We'll talk about these later, okay?
Okay.
So for Schedule C, that is business income, this is where all of your 1099 NEC non-employer compensation, that is receipts for the employer compensation, okay? So whenever you see multiple forms, like in this fellow's scenario, you're going to see quite a bit of different 1099 NEC. You would tally them up, and that would be the total business receipts for the year, not net income, right? Because net income, that's after the expenses. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is where we put gross receipts. Of course, some businesses have inventory, and we'll go over all of that a bit later. And of course, different businesses have different expenses. Okay, so this is where the expenses would go. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one second. So when we look at Form 1040, the only, I would say, obvious and standalone things are from 1 to 6, okay? These are separately stated things because you have wages, you have interest, you have dividends, IRA distributions, pensions and annuities, and Social Security benefits. These you will be able to compare, and they jump out at you pretty much right away. So when you're reviewing the tax return, either with the client or on your own, you can always look at the, let's say, worksheets. Where's the wages coming from? Match up the numbers to the W-2s, right? Either sum them up, or if it's just one W-2, well, even easier, the amount is going to be here. Now, Schedule D client does not have any capital gains or losses in this particular tax return, so we're not going to stop on it right now. Again, totally different beast of its own. We'll chat about it next session. But you will see that it has other income, Schedule 1. Well, what is this mysterious Schedule 1? Let's take a look at it. Schedule 1 is additional income and adjustments to income, okay? Schedule 1 can contain a lot of different income and a lot of different adjustments to income. So what's important and what's usually pretty much, well, almost, well, I don't know, probably 95%, if not more, of the tax returns that we prepare will contain Schedule 1, okay? Because into Schedule 1, you will see that business income or loss, and see how it says attached Schedule C, that's where that flows, okay? Naturally, because we are talking additional income, okay? Now, we touched on rental real estate royalties. That's Schedule E, page 1, okay? This is also where that would flow. Partnerships, S corporations, and trusts, that's Schedule E, page 2. Again, this is where that would flow, okay? Farm income, it's at Schedule F. So you will see that it has quite, quite a lot of things that can be hidden, buried, or simply flow through into the schedule. Unemployment compensation as well. And then this is the adjustment. It's not going to happen again, probably ever, but this was due to COVID. Certain portion, I believe it was either 10 or 12,000, to be honest, I don't recall right now, but it was non-taxable up to that amount. So in this guy's case, it was an adjustment, okay?
Mhm.
That's Schedule 1. So when we look at, so now we need to see where it says attach Schedule C. Okay, let's go and look at Schedule C, okay? Schedule C, pretty, I would say in a way self-explanatory. On the other hand, there could be a lot of things that are not self-explanatory. So to give a brief overview, okay, brief, and we will be going in detail over all of these schedules, so you gain a little bit of confidence in practice. But overall, what's important to know, and this is the first thing we usually ask the client: principal, business, or profession, including product or service. So this is, what does the business actually do, right? What does the client do for business? Are they a hairdresser? Are they a typist, or a writer, or a, singer, or whomever they are, right? We need to know who they are. So, or rather what they do. This is where that's going to go. Enter code from instructions. Well, sometimes, people think that they need to remember all of these codes. You don't, okay? You don't.
Mhm.
So, in fact, nobody remembers them ever. So what you would do is, let's say he's publishing industries, okay? You just start typing in whatever that is that the client does, okay? And then you just select what it is, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right. So on Schedule C, again, we would say, what is the business name? Sometimes, even though it is Schedule C, okay, even though technically it's a business, sometimes people don't specifically elect any type of entity. They don't register as an LLC, and we will go over that as well, what that is. They simply perform and do whatever that is they do under their social security number. So you will see that this guy's business name is quite literally just his first name, middle initial, and last name, okay? Because he didn't elect to be treated any differently, he also didn't get himself an EIN number. So the only thing you will see here is his social. So he operates under his own social security number. These are the gross receipts of sales that we've talked about. There could be returns allowances. There could be a cost of goods sold. We would arrive at gross profit. Other income, that could be quite anything else, whatever is not his major business activity. And then we would get gross income. So this is the total left after inventory, okay? Rather after cost of goods sold, after the inventory that has been sold. And then we have other expenses, okay? So advertising, current truck, commission fees, contract labor. You can read all of that, okay? So these are various expenses, okay? They're gonna flow through here. And if the client is asking you, well, what is the net profit? This is where you find it. Line 31, this is his net profit from business, okay?
Yeah.
Now, every time there's a Schedule C, if there is a net income, there is going to be a different type of tax that is imposed on this taxpayer. It is going to be self-employment tax, okay? Schedule SE, self-employment tax. Now, very important thing is that 50% of this self-employment tax is actually deductible, and you will see it as an adjustment on the taxpayer's tax return. But it is pretty steep, okay? It is pretty steep. So Just trying. This is where other taxes, including self-employment tax. Okay, so in this guy's scenario, there is no other taxes besides the self-employment tax. Well, there's also income tax, but other specifically taxes. It's only self-employment taxes and regular. Where it says just simply tax, they mean income tax. Okay, this is federal income tax. Plus, he owes self-employment taxes. So the total tax liability is going to be $14,563. So if the client were to ask you, Fanny, what is my total tax liability? You would say, oh, you know, if you didn't prepay anything, or if nothing was withheld through your W-2, okay, your liability would have been $14,563, okay? And it is a lot, Penny. I know it is a lot. So what I will do, let's do this. I'm going to send you this recording, and we're not even through the whole thing yet, okay? I'm going to send you this recording. I know that, you know, probably you're not going to be clicky happy just going through everything quickly, you know, like I do. And honestly, I'm not expecting that, okay? The expectation would be is that just following what we've talked about, right? These major areas. If you could go ahead and maybe now that you have a little bit of context, right, of what is what, okay? If you could see, let's do this. Okay. If you could see, if you can understand and pretty much, let's do this. I'm going to, you will see Akel Joseph, and I'm going to name it Fanny Practice, okay? I'm going to name it Fanny Practice. I'm going to wipe that return clean. So it's not going to have anything in it, okay? It's going to be very blank one. And try to go over pretty much over all of these things, okay? See if you can go ahead and input them where they belong, find them home, okay?
Okay. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
These forms that were created, the forms up there by the right-hand side, after I fill in like all the data from the Dropbox, does the PDF file automatically create based on the data I insert?
Yes, so whatever you're inputting, that's what it's gonna use to create the actual form, okay? So I guess in a way, if you input Schedule C, right, you don't need to click anywhere else for the Schedule C to be generated. So wherever you're going to be filling out, it's going to be pulling proper schedules in, okay? But let's say, what if you're in the situation where the client is asking you, oh, Fanny, I thought I'm going to have a Schedule A. So, well, even, I don't know, let's say you forgot how to get, let's not even talk about Schedule A yet. Let's say you forgot where to input 1099 interest. Remember the one that we talked about. What you do is you simply click over here up top, 1099 interest. And it's going to say section items in the income. And you're like, oh yeah, that is the income, right? Boom, it takes you right there, okay? It takes you right there. Also, what you can do is, for example, you have the forms and it doesn't work 100%, but let's say you have the forms, you're not sure where's this coming from, right? For example, when you're going to be recreating this tax return, what you can do, because the one I'm going to give you is going to be blank, right? You can open this one as a copy, right? And by doing that, you just would say however you want. Just log in from two different windows, right? Have this one as an example, the other one, just the one you're working on. And let's say you forgot where this is coming from. Well, if you click on it, it is interactive. It's going to take you right there to the form, and it's going to show you here where's the input and here where's the information coming from.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Well, then I'm going to use the information from the Dropbox to fill in the information on ProConnect.
Yes, exactly. So what I'm going to do when I'll go back to the tax returns.
Okay.
What's this guy's name? Akil Joseph. Okay. Okay. So this one is a copy.
Okay.
And input. I'm going to rename it. And we're going to call it practice. Okay. Okay, so you're going to practice on this one, okay? And what I'll do, I'll keep this basic information, but what we're going to do is we're going to kill all the rest of it, okay? I'm going to clean it up. So you're going to have yourself a clean slate to work on.
Okay. Earlier you mentioned something about the tax season. What period is that?
Penny, I can barely hear you. Could you speak up, please?
Oh, okay. I said, hold on, be sure you can hear me. Okay. I said earlier you mentioned something about a tax season. What period is that?
Oh, great question. Usually end of January, okay, all the way through May.
Okay.
Okay. Usually very, 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 very busy time. Okay. So we need to get you bulked up, prep and ready for that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I have cleaned up the first portion. Okay. So the first portion that you're going to work on income. So the first portion is cleaned up. So you have quite a bit to do. Whatever questions you have, please put them in the email, right? So tomorrow we can go over them. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So I think for today, we're going to go ahead and we're going to be at a stopping point, work on this income portion of things. Like I said, get the email with any questions that you have, and then we will proceed further tomorrow. Okay?